which we will start off by having presentations from visitors from UNESCO creative cities from around the world. So the first thing I'm going to do is to welcome our guests from other creative cities. I'm welcoming, I won't use Mrs. Mr. if that's all right, I should just give names. So Joana Miranda and Jose Alberto Gomez, welcome from Braga in Portugal. Dominique Roland and Marie Lesage, welcome from Enghien-les-Bains in France. Jin Kyung-jeong from Gwangju in Korea. Jana Shagova and Denisa Draganovska from Košice in Slovakia. And Natsumi Ohara and Katsuya Ishida from Sapporo in Japan. I'm sorry for mangling people's names. You are very welcome in York. We're very pleased to have you here. You're here in the presence of a number of key figures from York's cultural sector, who we also welcome this morning, and who we want to fully involve in the discussion that will follow after the presentations have happened. I know some of you had the opportunity to chat last night, but actually, as Tom was just saying, this is an opportunity to find out more about how things really work, who they're for, how things are organized, and also, if time permits, what they cost. I realize I didn't introduce myself, and I should have done that. My name is Chris Bailey. I'm clerk to the Guild of Media Arts, which is one of the organizations that looks after the designation of York as a creative city of media arts. So the first session, lasting an hour, will consist of a number of presentations. And so first of all, I'd like to ask Braga if you would come to the lectern and make your presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you very much for this welcome, this great welcome you gave us. And I really want to congratulate Tom and the team for this absolutely amazing festival. We're really lucky to be here in this first edition, and very moved and very empowered by what you really achieve. I have some pictures because you asked me from some pictures, and when I was thinking about the presentation about what is creative ecology, I just figured out this was the best way to present what we are doing in Braga. We just came to the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, and so we are kind of rookies there, but we are building on something we consider a very strong heritage before being a creative city, and now the challenges to build on that. So, well, we'll present it right now. This is an ancient, a former military police headquarters that was in Braga and at the prisons. And then in 2013, Braga was designed as a youth European capital. And then, sorry. Maybe I, no. Sorry for that. And then, in that occasion, the municipality find the right time to requalificate, to remodel the ancient police headquarters and open it to the city and to the main venue of the youth capital. Then the youth capital was finished, and then a new project arrived within that. And thank you. And then a new project was installed there. It's called Generation. And besides being the youth cabinet, will join, and it become also a cultural, very focused on the media arts. Could you please here? It's not showing up there. Okay, this is another one. So we joined there the Generation, cultural and concerts and educational venue, very much related with the media arts. And another actor joined us, a startup incubator, very connected with the new tech and the new creative and the new software buzz that was happening in Braga. So there were youth, there were the creative and cultural sector, and then the startup and creative hub. So we began in the same building. So something happened there, because we were all, I was not there yet, but joining these actors in the same building began to something happen, something new really begin to grow there. And this little network make all the projects bigger and more empowered to do their work. And then I'm going to show some pictures. We have a very well-known festival, Semibrev Festival, and the main quarter is Generation. We also develop within that small network an incredible relations with universities and bring science to that small network. And we began to, especially university and research institutes, and we began to invite artists to go to those research centers and bring back their work. And then we began a major program with installations open to the public. So we were growing and growing, and our harms was spreading, and our audiences were, and diverse audiences were reached. And then we began to invite artists and commission installations. So we added another program to our endeavor, and the process has been very rewarding. And then simultaneously, and not forgetting what our mission was, this was also all before we've been named Creative City, a very ambitious, very focused, very serious program of education, mainly mixing media arts and music and programming, was from the beginning very well thought. So today, we have here our director of this educational program is one of our major achievements, and it is growing and growing. And the plan that we created and that we test is now envisaged to get to all the national system of scholarity. This particular one, we have a very different programs. I'm showing it's one of the programs, First Bits, and is very focused on younger audiences. So it has been very, very inspiring. And then and then come the Creative City and the action plan and the commitment to make it bigger. And then we are now expanding. So I began with a remodelation, Generation. And it's a pillar of our work, and now we are expanding on that. And we are now aiming to remodulate another building that's going to be our Media Art Center in the middle of the historical urban area of the city. These are very close. And now we are, could you please, in the process of rebuilding it and financing the renovation. And then, so we are, you know, we are presenting, this is a presentation to the public, but mainly it's about buildings and venues, but most of all, it's about people. It's about these people from the different areas I've been talking about. There's people from it's our focal point. Claudia, it's the mayor. It's Raquel from Generation, executive director. Is Luis Fernando, our inspiring artist director. Is Alexandre from Startup Braga. Is the assistant mayor Nuno. It is helping very much to get funding and always tipping us on new ways to connect with the community. Is a whole picture of José. Is Marina from the Nanotechnology Laboratory. Is Martinho, a local artist. And there's a lot of people, but what I'm saying is that what we think that's really make a creative ecology, a creative ecosystem is, of course, having the right venues at the right place, but mostly at the right people. So it's also being here with these people in this exact date. Sorry, Jean, I can get your picture. I Googled it, but I couldn't get it, so sorry. Honora, I just get you on the South by Southwest. Sorry, I couldn't. But there's Madame Azoulay from UNESCO. I think that's the most creative thing I can think about of being part of this network is this kind of having the right people at the right moment and making sure they are all focused and inspired in our. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. It's so hard to squeeze a city into 10 minutes, I know. We next hear from Enghien-les-Bains. Can I ask Dominique and Marie? Marie is going to present? Okay.
Thank you, Chris, for organizing everything. We are very happy to be here with you today for the panel discussion and then for the internal meeting. So for Enghien-les-Bains, we would like to focus on an ongoing project which is led by the Centre of Arts. So that's strange because it's an educational project, a training project, on behalf of the city of Enghien-les-Bains. And this project results from a very long-term discussion for more than 10 years, and it's at the crossroads between film and media arts, as you will see. So just to give you the main guidelines of my presentation, I will explain you very briefly the project, and then I will explain the birth of the project, the market analysis that we conducted, and the relevance of the project to the ecosystem of Enghien-les-Bains and the Sustainable Development Goals of the UNESCO. And finally, I will focus on the innovative dimension of the project and the impact at the local and national level. So I just gathered some pictures. It's just pictures from one of our main festivals, which is called Paris Image Digital Summit, and which is about visual effects. So to give you just a very quick overview of the project, it's an ongoing project. The Centre of Arts is working on it for more than 2 years now, and he is working in partnerships with the School Méliès, which is a very famous school in France. It's located in the south of Paris, and it has been created in 1999. It's a school dedicated to animation, mostly animation. And so we are proposing at the school will open in December 2080, so in 2 months, and it will offer a new intensive and free training based on 2 main values: solidarity and excellence. And the training will last between 1 and 2 years, and it will focus on the cinematographic visual effects. It's focused as an antenna of the school Méliès, the already existing school, and so it will rely on the main values of this school. I mean, continuity between the old and the modern, at the crossroads of science and arts, by forming craftsmen of the image. The craftsmen of the image is the main. The key value of the school Méliès now. It's that they are teaching also very classical things to the students, not only computer things, but also modelings, drawing, and so on. So we will be in the line with this philosophy. And the main feature of this school, it's why we choose to present it to you today, is that it's a school type solidarity. In France, we have a school, an already existing school, which is the School 42 from Xavier Niel, who is the creator of Free. And so the school will be without prerequisite level or diploma, but with a competition entrance, and it will be open to atypical profiles, and it will have a very strong creative potential. So at the beginning of the project, we led a study in late 2017 on the structuring of the visual effects sectors, and we realized that there is a growing demand in France for skilled and qualified people from post-production companies and film studios. I can give you some figures. The creation of 2,500 jobs is planned within 2 to 5 years. And we can estimate that the digital visual effects will grow over the last 10 years from 54%. So it's quite challenging. Among the strengths, we noticed that there is a lot of worldwide recognized schools in France, like Méliès, Les Gobelins. So it's very important. There is a technical and creative French know-how, which is searched by the actors of the world production. And we have public policies adapted to the reality of the global markets for a highly competitive sector. But among the weaknesses, we noticed that there is a fierce competition for the recruitment of the best French talents, and there is a training policy which is essentially focused on animation profession, like the existing school Méliès. There is a lack of schools dedicated only to visual effects. So. And so on, there is a risk for the studios to see some large contracts escape because they can't meet the demand. So we decided to create this school based on these analysis markets. And this new formation, this new training is directly inserted in the digital ecosystem of the city of Enghien-les-Bains, which is carried by its art center, because this ecosystem is based on 4 main pillars. The first one is digital creation and flagship international events like the Bain Numérique and like the PIDS, which is the Paris Image Digital Summit. It's a big international festival dedicated to visual effects, and it's composed of master classes, conferences, Genie Awards, a job fair, which is connecting students and production studios. And there is also a part which is open to the public, to the general public, with previews and master classes. So that is an event that we are organizing for 5 years, and that's one of the core elements for the new forming, the new training school. We have also an educational part. We are organizing a lot of residencies of artists in schools, and we are also working with a lot of visual artists, and we are organizing workshops to teach students and young people to use videos and film to do creative things with that. And we have an economics part. We have an incubator, a film incubator in the Center of Arts. And last but not least, we have also the last pillar is about tourism. We are introducing also creative tools in our tourism policy. So they are the main pillars of our ecosystem, and so we decided to go a step forward into training and to connect the training part to the other part, to digital creation, to our festival, to educational programs, to tourism, and to economics. And so Enghien-les-Bains is appeared has the perfect location for this school, and because we can develop very promising synergies with our ecosystem. And another part was also, as a UNESCO creative city, we also wanted to invest in lifelong learning, because it's one of the key issues now, and so it's directly connected to the fourth Sustainable Development Goals of the agenda, of the 2030 agenda, which aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, above all for women and for unqualified people. So we want to focus on very on unemployed people and people out of young people out of the system, as I will explain later. So just to speak very briefly about the innovative dimension. First, I would like to highlight innovative pedagogy, because we are at that time we are attending an important paradigm shift in the field of education and learning in the broad sense for a few years. And the principle of reverse pedagogy is spreading in university and colleges. And so we want to allow students to work upstream of the course, and so to be able to dedicate more time during the course to speak with the teachers and to lead project activities. So the school will use digital tools like digital working spaces and massive online open courses. It's another innovative dimension is the public-private partnership, because the existing École Méliès has a great experience and reputation, so it can rely on the support of several studios, major players in French visual effects, and which are already partners of the school, like Microsimage, MacGuff, Solidanim, which are very famous studios in France. And so more than 70% of the teachers will be professional speakers. And so the most important thing is that they will be engaged in the creation of in the definition of the curriculum, in the training, and then they will be able to benefit from a pool of recruitment. So they are engaged in all the circle. And the last part is the target public. As I said to you, the primary purpose of this training is to focus on young people without qualification, and especially from disadvantaged neighborhood and people away from employment. So we will work with partners such as Second Chance Schools, which help and educate young people out of school each year. And we will also be helped by what is called in French local missions and employment centers. So the school is aimed at a very wide audience, unemployed young people, and also people with disabilities or people from diaspora, and also women who are underrepresented in visual effects, in the visual effects sector. They will also be part of our targeted audience. So last, the expected results, we are the idea of this school is to contribute to reinforce our existing ecosystem. On the training parts, with a very great impact on local economic development. In fact, we think that the PIDS festival will gain in visibility and will serve as a master showcase for students. Students will be invited to present their works one time a year, and they will benefit also from the job fair and from training sessions during the festival, and they will be also included in the Genie Awards. So they will be awarded with different prizes. So it's something that we have to reflect on. And the second part is that we hope to reinforce the attractiveness, the world attractiveness of Anguin-les-Bains in Ile-de-France, because the Ile-de-France region has many schools, many training schools, and is also the location of many studios. So there is a fierce competition here. And so we want to reinforce our attractiveness at the local and national level also. With also the creation of a residential route for firms, because we have yet a firm incubator, but we would like to create also other venues for firms. So we want to grow up little by little, and the training school is a part of that strategy. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie, for outlining that exciting education initiative, and we may well come back to the issue of education and training in our discussion. So next, I'm going to invite Jin from Gwangju to present their project. Thank you, Jin.
It's not work. It's work? It's work? No. Make more bigger?
That's as big as it goes. Right.
This one? Ah, okay. Yes. Can we make this bigger then? Okay. So, hello everybody. Very nice to meet you again. So on behalf of the Gwangju Metropolitan City, I'm very delighted to join this meeting to enlarge the discussion you had in the annual meeting this year. I'm very much wish for the great and fruitful result from today's meeting. And before I start, as you see the PPT file, the table content will be in order of the brief introduction of the UNESCO Media Art Creative City Gwangju, and in finding out the roles of Gwangju Media Art in developing the creative ecology. So we are trying to find out what is Gwangju City is doing to build a creative ecology. And also, for further discussion, I will present the Gwangju's mid to long-term development strategies.
And then lastly, I'll wrap this up by suggesting for the way of cooperation between Gwangju City and other creative cities. So I just, first of all, I would like to introduce Gwangju, city of Gwangju. UNESCO Creative City Gwangju is with a big city with a population of 149 million, located in the southwestern part of South Korea. And as you see the map, Gwangju is southwestern part. And moving on to the next page, the Gwangju is a high-tech scientific industrial city that fosters international science business belt and automobile industry as a main industry. And also, sometimes Gwangju is also recognized as the laboratory of the light, UNESCO creative city, such as the light of art, light of human, light of industry. So this is what the UNESCO creative city Gwangju is. And now let's find out what Gwangju is actually doing to build a creative ecology and what are the outcomes. So, can we make this bigger? No. So the Gwangju is actually has tried to expand the link to the related organizations such as university and CGI Center, a core of Gwangju's content, industry development, and Asian Culture Center. So Gwangju has, these steering groups has been conceived to realize the UNESCO missions for the sustainable development goal. To also to build a creative ecology. This steering group divided into two summit groups. One is, the art production committee. The other one is LED industry committee. So in the art production committee is producing media art content together by sharing ideas and collecting the budget. And recently, we also in the LED industry committee, the media artists and companies started to discuss the way of creating the content, mainly focus on the media facade. The use of the media facade in the building is being discussed by using LED or light. This will be an opportunity to develop the LED industry. I would like to show us a sample. Just a second. Can you help me? So I just want to show how the LED industry was used in Gwangju City. It just simply showed just 1 or 2 seconds because we are running out of time, so we just want to show you. Yeah. So we're trying to use a media facade in the building so to develop the LED industry. So this is our plan to make the building like this. All of the cities is our plan. Yes. Yeah, so move back to the 55 again. So that's why we, consisted the steering group divided into 2 summited. Also, we have the summited, sub-summited group. And secondly, as you see, the media facade we are using in the city. And also, we have the UNESCO Media Art Advisory Committee. In the consultation, various policies are discussed in each field, so such as consulting of the hologram technology, and consulting on interactive media art, and education, and citizen programs, and so on. So this picture is so small, but inside there, in the picture, you can find me. So in the picture, okay. And then it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. And also, before we find out the long-term mid to long-term strategy, I would like to introduce our cultural asset, also Gwangju's media art development. Yeah. Gwangju also has your old renowned media artists, of course. And also, we have been holding the Media Art Festival since 2012. This year, we have a 2018 Media Art Festival, holding from November 28 to December 7 for 10 days. And as you might know, we have the several various cultural assets. As you might know, we have the Gwangju Biennale, which is starting from in 1995. And also Gwangju Art Fair and Design Biennale, AC Fair, and other events. Yeah. So lastly, the most important to be considered in the Gwangju's activation to be the creative ecology. So Gwangju have been planned mid to long-term development strategies. So some of you might see our platform, and after being designated the UNESCO Creative City, the Gwangju is deeply thought about the public. As for them, the genre of media art is unknown and difficult to approach. So while thinking what method could be used in order to make this genre have better accessibility in an easy manner. So the media specialized spaces came to our mind. So we made the 6 media specialized spaces: hologram theater, media playground, and media archive, digital gallery, media 338, hologram facade. We are operating this building. It's 80,000 people already visited this platform. It's quite well operated. And so, as you see, hologram theater, media playground. And secondly, as the second step, we are trying to construct an AMT center by the end of 2020. AMT is Means Art and Technology Center. And for the last, the whole city will turn into a media art city by realizing the last step through media art crosswalk and media art architecture. Whole city will turn into the media city. So this is all about our mid to long-term strategies. So and also lastly, in cooperation with the local authorities and stakeholders in Gwangju, we will develop media contents and develop the industry. At the same time, we will continue to develop the city through mid to and long-term strategies. So the effort of the Gwangju city I mentioned so far will be able to provide a momentum for mutual growth by energizing the field of media art in the UNESCO Creative City Network and sharing the case with other cities. So I would like to, lastly, I would like to thank you, York City, and many York City, especially Mr. Prague Crispelli and Pelos, and many other who prepared this event and invite me. I wish for the York to successfully manage the Mediale 2018 that realized cutting-edge media art in the UK's first and only UNESCO Greece City of Media Art. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And I know that because of Gwangju's generosity, a number of people from York have already visited Gwangju and found it very exciting, so thank you. Our next presentation comes from Košice, and is it Jana who's going to deliver it? So, Jana, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank to Chris and his team for inviting us. We're happy that we are here. Even we didn't have a chance to explore Mediale as we arrived just yesterday evening, but we will have a chance tomorrow. So we are looking forward to see what did you prepare, because it looks really wonderful what you've done so far. Today I would like to introduce you the Festival of Media Arts Technology and the digital culture in Košice, Slovakia. Its name is Art and Tech Days. I would like to speak more why we decided to organize this event and why Art and Tech Days. So yeah, let's start. Košice is the second city of Slovakia with around 240,000 citizens. And in the last decade, the city developed its creative and cultural environment and industries very quickly, especially thanks to the European Capital of Culture, in which we were in 2013 together with French Marseille. But at the same time, in the city, the IT industry also grew very quickly. In the last decade, the number of jobs in IT sector grew from 1,000 to more than 12,000 nowadays. But these two sectors didn't interact or didn't cooperate in any way, like the creative sector or cultural sector and the IT and tech companies. But only few, there were really clever people who saw the great potential in such cooperation that could and should become possible. So that's why our NGO, Creative Industry Košice, developed and initiated a few new projects focused on such cooperation. I will mention, for example, artistic residencies in business companies, creativity for business. We were sending artists for 2 or 3 months long residencies to the companies where they worked with local team, with managers, and they worked together on some innovation for these companies. And most of these residencies were really successful, but also we saw that it's not still and every time easy to understand each other when you have open-minded artists on one side and very business-oriented corporate manager on the other side. So I don't want to speak about this problem or how we faced it, but I would like to speak what we did to raise awareness and to work with this problem, to keep this problem in mind. That this lack of general understanding that mixing art and creativity can be really beneficial for both sides. In 2016, we launched the first edition of Art and Tech Days, the festival. As I said, it's a festival of media, arts, technology, innovation, and digital culture. And yeah, it's a public event. And its aim is to raise awareness of the media arts, to explore innovation which are emerging on the interface between art and technology. And from what is important from the early and very beginning of the project, of the festival, we started to work in a tandem with Košice IT Valley, which is a cluster of regional cluster of IT and tech companies, and this partnership really gives the meaning and content to interdisciplinarity of the festival. And also it allows us to reach the new audiences, not only art-oriented people, but also people from tech environment. So the central event of the festival is every year international conference. We are inviting leading artists, also scientists, innovators, business leaders to get together to talk about their insights into the topic. And every year we try to choose a topic which can be attractive and which can be a good starting point for both sides, for artists and creative people, and also for technologists. So, for example, this year in November, we will have a topic, revolution happening now. We will speak about and discuss about artificial intelligence revolution. What does it mean? We will explore the challenges of AI, how these are seen from the perspective of this group of people, speakers, and also visitors of the festival and the conference. The very important part of the festival are workshops, really practical hands-on workshop where people can come, learn new skills, meet and work together, artists with technologies together. This year we will have six workshops. I will mention at least Gene Kogan, who is a New York-based artist, and he will come here with his world-famous machine learning for artists. And really not only artists will come, but also people from the local IT company, which just recently opened the machine learning lab. So they are getting to understand that it's really beneficial cooperation. Sorry. Well, and besides these educational and knowledge building events, also we offer to our visitors artistic events, live performances, exhibitions, installations, interactive installations, also game days, DJ, VJ nights. So really people can come and can inspire, and we really are trying to create open and inspirational environment for them, so they can talk together, then they can showcase their own initiatives, own projects. Yeah, and also I would like to say that Art and Tech Days is quite a unique event in Slovakia, and we are quite happy that its significance is growing. More and more people are understanding and recognizing its importance. That's what we are like really seeing it's happening after 3 years. Finally. It's not really easy to get together these two sectors, but yeah, it's happening, and yeah, it's great for us. We have the local arts community also on our side, because they came to us and they want to be part of the Art and Tech Days. Even if we are not a bottom-up project, it was our initiative to start this, but they want to be a part of it, and that's really great, because we also already agreed that next year in autumn, in 2019, we will have we will organize together really strong two months during October and November, focused on media arts. So all these galleries, independent centers, residential programs will bring own projects and our program, and we can really celebrate media arts in Košice like massively next year. Yeah, I think the real magic happens when real art and technology respect each other, and if it is for both sides really something natural to work together and to collaborate. And if they realize that without each other they cannot fulfill their or reach the full potential of both. So yeah, you are all cordially invited to come in November to Košice and see what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jana. And I know you will have noticed that on the banners for Mediale, it says art, meet technology. So we have a great deal in common, I think. The next presentation is from Sapporo, and I think Katsuya is going to do the presentation. So, over to you.
Hello, everyone. First, thank you very much. The City of New York, City of York, and Professor Chris Bailey for giving this opportunity to introduce our project, SciAF Lab, in Sapporo. I am Katsuya Ishida, a program director of this project and a senior assistant professor of Sapporo City University. Today, I would like to present our project and I introduce our outline of the SciAF Lab in Japanese with English translation because my English is not so good. And Natsumi will introduce the city and the details of our activity. ここから日本語にします。SciAFラボは第1回目の札幌国際芸術祭が開催された後の2015年に作られた組織です。で、その目的なんですけども、メディアアートとかアート&テクノロジーと呼ばれるものを通して、教育とか、それから経済、芸術といった分野をつないで札幌の市民と創造都市としての札幌をより深く知っていただくことを目的としています。その上で、これからこれまで我々がどのような活動を行ってきたか、それからそれによって、今どのような課題があるのか、今後我々の活動からどのような都市の未来が作られるのかということを紹介していこうと思います。それでは大原さん、詳細の紹介をよろしくお願いします。
So thanks, Katsuya. I'm Natsumi from the city of Sapporo, and I translate what he said. So, SciAF Lab began its activity in 2015, the year after the first SciAF Sapporo International Art Festival was held. And it is not only a research laboratory for experts, but its mission is to connect the education, economy, and art sectors through so-called media arts or arts and technology to showcase the creativity of the creative city Sapporo. And we would like to introduce what we did in the past 3 years and what problem we face now and our future project, which should have created the future of the city. So before introducing the project, I will outline the city. So this is Sapporo is the capital of Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan. And it is a young city. About 150 years ago, the Japanese government built a head office, Hokkaido Development Commission in Sapporo. The island before was inhabited by the indigenous Ainu people. And the commission recruited immigrants from other Japanese islands and made them settled. Then Sapporo experienced a rapid urbanization, and now it is the 5th biggest city in Japan. The city is covered with snow in its long winter season, and the total amount of snowfall in the winter reaches 6 millimeters.
So the budget for the snow removal is 2% of the whole city's budget. But it does have also good effects on our tourism, because our snow festival, which holds every February, attracts 2.5 million visitors from worldwide, and also it has economic impact of over $300 million. So I would like to talk about Sigh of Love. So as Katsuya has introduced, Sigh of Love is Sigh of is a short name of the Sapporo International Art Festival, and Sigh of Love is an independent project named after this art festival, but we're aiming to more continuous project for the resident to appeal what the media art can do for their life. So I want to introduce the workshops, lectures, and the major activities from 2015. First, there are public lectures and discussion on what is the future feature of Sapporo City, and also what is the future of media art expressions. So we had a Sapporo study on unique features of Sapporo and invisible exhibition, which is the lecture instead of the visual exhibition. And we also have programming workshop for educational and capacity building purpose, which is a handmade plant watering robot workshop and creative coding school in Sapporo. Then we incorporated into the children's workshop sound programming, then expanded it to the exhibition, which makes sound code programming and for the children and also for the adults, and then mixed it to the one exhibition. And also we had some workshop using Chef Watson and IBM to use local ingredients and find out which recipe we can have for the future gastronomic appeals. We had some vegetable soup, which taste very good. Or Bend Icicle project, which is icicle, bending icicle, which formed by air conditioning of the house. And we gathered the environmental data, such as temperature or air pressure or humidity, and make it a visual presentation to them. And this is last year's exhibition we had in the court of the former Court of Appeal. And also we have Sonic Pie and the Self-Love project. Which lists their live coding performance in Ganju Media Art Festival last year. And also we had a collaboration project with standing artists in the media art field, which, for example, which is outside Sigh of Love project, which send a balloon to the space and gathering the environmental data which exhibited in the last Sapporo International Art Festival as an installation. So this is we did in 3 years so far. So we focused on educational program and also collaboration with artists. But the problem we faced is somewhat like Yana from Koshiji had confronted. So we had a great success for the context of art and cultural sector, but in fact we have to appeal more broader audience, such as the residents who are not frequent to the museums or cultural events or business sector. So we are planning to collaborate with. So we are planning to collaborate with more various sectors, such as economical one, and also the academic universities or institutions, to make more broader effect and to visualize and showcase what our project can do for the daily life of the citizens, and also what we can do for the more innovative ecosystem of the city. So we are now planning to some project for the snow removal work with GPS and forklifts. And also we are working with some IT companies to make a workshop to use our past project ideas, such as space balloon and data collection, to make educational program for children. So to end, we recognize the importance of the environmental data and to make it open to the citizen and to the world. So it would be great if we can collaborate with other cities to research or developmental projects with this kind of data, or we can have any artistic collaboration between the cities. So thank you so much.
Katsuya Natsumi, thank you so much for that. Such a poetic and beautiful ideas, as well as very practical ideas about collaboration, so thank you. Towards the end of the alphabet comes York. So here we are, the last presentation, and our colleague Heather Niven is going to give it. So Heather.
Thank you, Chris. Just give me a second. Thank you very much. Just would like to say how exciting to hear from all the other cities and the really exciting projects you're all doing. I very much hope we can actually collaborate in the future. So you've already heard from Tom this morning about the Mediale. He's stolen my project. I'm just joking. So what I would like to do today is talk around the role of media arts and how that's developed the ecology here in York. I thought one way of answering this topic succinctly would actually be to talk about what we're doing in the next 6 weeks here in the city and how that's feeding in to an exciting time and exciting development for us here in York now. So a little bit of background on York. We are a city of 200,000 people. We have 7.9 million tourists and visitors to the city every year, which is a large influx of visitors, which is really exciting. The main driver for the visitors is our heritage. We've got a very rich historical city, and also with an emphasis on the rail industry, the chocolate industry, and the minster, and this kind of rich heritage, which is really exciting. However, we are really keen in the city now to shift our perception just from heritage to a hybrid of heritage and high tech. We have a very exciting creative sector in the city. We have over 850 creative media arts businesses here. And we feel that we can use the UNESCO designation as a focal point and a catalyst to help us engage our creative industries and use them to help us future-proof our city. So really want to shift that perception from only heritage to innovation and high tech. So as an example of this, over the next 6 weeks, we have the Mediale, which Tom has told you about today, which is our 10-day festival to really push the boundaries around the hybrid of technology and creativity. We also have a festival coming up in about 3 weeks' time called the Aesthetica Short Film Festival, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. We have the Culture Awards, which is a celebration of the creativity that happens within our city. And we're also really excited to announce we also are running TEDx York in November, which again is looking at a topic of blurred realities. And that's looking at how augmented and virtual reality can play a part in our lives. So I was excited to hear about your event as well in Slovakia. Let's see if I can work this. So really in terms of the Mediale, what we're trying to do is challenge the status quo. We're trying to push the boundaries and ask difficult questions. It's very easy to become complacent in a city which is rich in heritage and is prosperous. But actually, we need to use our creativity to really push the boundaries, to ask difficult questions, to challenge that status quo. And we very much feel that Tom and the team at the Mediale have really addressed this and are really trying to do that within the installation work that they have in the festival, and we hope you can enjoy some of that. Okay, it's thinking about it. The next thing, hopefully if the slide works, is the Aesthetica Short Film Festival. This is a festival which I think is now in its 5th year. It uses the city as a stage. There are many, many different parts to the festival. There are applications for the Short Film Festival from across the world. There are areas, oops, we've gone too far. That's that one. Yeah. It may or may not work, but don't worry. There are areas in the festival around short film, around animation, comedy. There's a whole section around virtual reality and really pushing the boundaries in terms of film. So looking at headsets, which the film will respond to your brain waves, how excited you are. There's 360-degree films, so you have a headset on and you can see, and you're in the film, you can see everything around you, which is really exciting. There's panel discussions on the use of these new technologies and really starting to understand and explore audiences of the future, trying to develop content for these using these technologies that are really at the cutting edge of screen-based industries, or the future of screen-based industries. The festival's a really exciting festival for the city. And you know, we really, I think we put some programs in your visitor packs to show you the breadth of that festival. So again, it's another example of how we're using our city as a stage and using the designation to really catalyse and create positive change in the city. We have visitors for that festival from all over the world. And also, if you actually make it through to the finals of that competition, your film is automatically put forward for a BAFTA, which is really exciting for the city, and that is something which we're very proud of. Very proud of Cherie, who is the festival director and who works very hard in the city every year. Are we giving up on it? Try it? Or, yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine. I think if we hit enable content. We'll have a slightly shorter presentation, it's fine. Okay, so on the 19th of November, 3 days after TEDx York on Blurred Realities, we also run the York Culture Awards. Check Steve in there, you see me in the audience? So the Culture Awards is our, it was started after we got the UNESCO designation because we very much feel we need to raise the visibility of our creative and cultural businesses. We have some really exciting stuff happens in the city. However, a lot of it is invisible. It's invisible locally. We have great talent in our universities and colleges who don't actually understand and appreciate the diversity and talent in the city. It gives us visibility at a regional level, so people can see some of the fantastic work that happens here in the city. And also we're keen to create visibility nationally and through networks like yourselves internationally. So the Culture Awards is one way that we try and celebrate and showcase the exciting businesses and the exciting activities that happen in the city. And that will be happening again this year on the 19th of November. It's a really exciting event for us this year. We have the head of the Arts Council for England coming this year. And again, all of this work is to try and raise the profile of York as this heritage-rich but innovative, high-tech and creative city. So we're also very proud and excited about the infrastructure we are now creating as part of our UNESCO designation. So we have two big opportunities going forward. We have a rising screen-based industry infrastructure. We have studios now at Church Fenton, just outside York, which have been spearheaded by Screen Yorkshire, which is a great agency here in our region. We're also pleased to announce this week that Screen Yorkshire have managed to secure a Centre for Excellence pilot, which is the UK's first Centre of Excellence for Film and TV, and is a major milestone for the region, reflecting Yorkshire's growing status as a leading centre for film and TV production. We're strengthening the workforce, and this is a 5-year industry growth plan. And the Centre of Excellence is one of a number of initiatives that Screen Yorkshire have been developing behind the scenes to ensure productions filming in Yorkshire can be assured they are working with the absolute best crews in the business. Also, we've just secured a bid through the Audiences of the Future programme from the Arts and Humanities Research Council. This is £11 million, and the University of York is leading on that project. It's an R&D clusters project, which we would try and invite, again, partners, international partners, industry and university working together collaboratively to develop content and storytelling for screen-based industries and the future of screen-based industries, to develop content for technology that hasn't even been invented yet. We're also a gigabit city. We have infrastructure here to try and provide data transfer for these types of businesses and trying to make sure our infrastructure is in place to help us future-proof our city. So in terms of our sustainable development goals, according to UNESCO, we very much feel that this catalyst of creating a creative strategy for the city, which is the first one we've had in a very long time, if ever. That will be launched this year in December, a 5-year roadmap for our city to catalyse this change. We're also developing a cultural strategy, again, which will be launched at the end of this year. And this is to really focus our energies to try and push our creative work forward. So we feel that our Sustainable Development Goals focus is around decent work and economic growth, which is Development Goal 8. Industry innovative infrastructure around our gigabit city, York Central, which is a new brownfield development plan that we're working on at the moment, the biggest brownfield development site in Europe. And again, we're trying to make sure that the creative industries have a very strong part to play in that development. Sustainable cities and communities, which is development goal 11. Again, we're making sure that we are engaging our creative media arts businesses in creating a sustainable city and future-proofing our city with that hybrid of high-tech and technology. And of course, sustainable goal 17, partnerships for the goals. As Joanna from Braga said right at the beginning, it's all about people. And we very much feel that here in York. Our close-knit community is what makes all of this possible for us. We're a human-sized city, 200,000 residents, but we're also an ideas city. We're not as saturated as Leeds and Manchester, our nearest neighbours. We can actually nurture new ideas and help people to develop those ideas from embryonic to fully commercial. We use our small city and our ideas city to help support innovation and development of those ideas through to reality. And we do very much believe we are changing our reputation to be a perfect blend from heritage to high tech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Heather, for that very rapid tour of some of the interests we have in York. Thank you to all of our contributors. I know you've been paying close attention, but so have people around the world who've been watching us through the live stream. And can I just say a very warm welcome to those of you who've joined us by live stream. Thank you for sending the messages you've been sending via WhatsApp and indeed via Twitter. And keep the questions coming. And my colleague Mike over there is keeping a note of what's coming in through Twitter. And if there are questions we can pose to the panel after our break, we will do so. So those of you watching on live stream, you have time to get a coffee yourself, and we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to reformat this into a panel discussion. So thank you, please take coffee, and thank all our speakers first. Thank you, presenters and cities, for joining us on the stage here. And we're looking for our audience here to generate most questions, but please tweet us extra questions if you have them from wherever you may be. Can I start off by posing a question that arrived by Twitter? I'll paraphrase it slightly. This is from the UK UNESCO Commission, and they ask, can you say one thing that you felt changed shortly after designation happened? If you can cast your mind back, some have been creative cities for some time. Something that changed as a result of that designation. And I'm going to ask Heather if she can say in York what happened after that momentous time at the end of 2014. So Heather?
Thank you, Chris. I would probably say the biggest change immediately after receiving the designation was a sense of pride and an increase in confidence from our creative businesses. It was that sense that if the Commission and UNESCO believed that York was a creative city of media arts, then we should also have an increase in confidence and bravery and ambition about how we should operate and what speed we should develop at here in the city.
Thank you, Heather. Do we have, who would like to go next? Henri Olivain?
Merci, thank you. Je pense que la désignation pour chaque ville correspond à un premier pas, mais surtout, la question, c'est le changement véritablement vient de l'engagement du programme de l'UNESCO, c'est-à-dire du programme 2030. Et ça, c'est une question qui est posée au niveau de la gouvernance, et en particulier des villes, de la prise de conscience des engagements qui sont ceux des villes, des engagements dans le programme UNESCO. Et ça, c'est quelque chose qui n'a pas toujours était compris au départ et qui était un élément, je dirais, de point de départ à partir de la nomination.
So, Mr. Roland said that the designation is the first step for each city. It's not just an international recognitions. And one of the main important things for him is that when you are designated as a UNESCO creative city, you are not just a creative city, you are a UNESCO creative one. So you have to take into account the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. And so you have to reflect on governance mechanisms and what it means to be a UNESCO city. So it's at the beginning it's difficult for decision makers, but in the case of Enghien-les-Bains, we had to make an effort to integrate the SDGs to our policy, and it makes us reflect on our own policy and on different matters related notably to governance.
Thank you, Marie, and I wonder if there's another city can comment. So, Braga.
I think what Dominique has said is mainly the thing. When you become a UNESCO creative city, you become aware that you are part of something bigger, and this as I said, the 2030 strategy and the CDGs and this kind of this future endeavor makes you focus, and this awareness of being part of something becomes real. And when it settles down in the city, even it affects everything. The policy frameworks, the social innovation and inclusion strategies and policies, and it is really inspiring, of course, besides the prestige and everything. But I think that's focus. It's a really it's a major endeavor for every actors and stakeholders of the city, and this was one of the main concerns.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Does Jana want to say something from Košice?
Thank you. I would like to agree that our city and more people in the city started to think more strategically how to develop creative economy and mostly the media arts in the city, and started planning since now till next 3-4 years in advance. And one of the concrete outcome from this planning is that the city decided to dedicate the biggest city gallery, Kunsthalle in Košice, to media arts. And that's already happening right now. The first meeting of the curators board is they have meeting, and they're planning the exhibition, media arts exhibition for next year, and with some strategic vision for 2020 and 2021. So yeah, we see the outcomes already.
Thank you, Anna, and congratulations on that momentum since the designation. What year was the designation? In November, just recently, just now, the last round of designation, in fact. Yes, yes. Katsuya Natsumi?
So for the city of Sapporo, the UNESCO designation has firstly the impact on the self-identified as a media city for the various sector, various residents of the city, and that support to get the budget for, as a staff official, to get the budget for programs such as International Art Festival based focused on media art, and also we have a renovation project of former Cultural Hill, which on which the SciAF Lab is based on, and in 5 years we are planning now to make some room more concentrated on the media arts educational program or exhibition space. So this is what we got.
Thank you, Natsumi. And I'll ask Jin from Gwangju if she has some comments on this question.
So after designation of the UNESCO Creative City in 2014, and actually, I'm definitely say the city of Gwangju is, try to expand the link to the organizations, related organizations, and also, we're making a close cooperation with the local authority and stakeholders. The most important things to be considered actually the long-term, mid to and long-term strategies are provided step by step. Long-term strategies are being realized step by step. This is the big change for the city of Gwangju. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jin. We all need to learn about patience, don't we? Thank you. There are some questions which will come from our colleagues who've come in. So who shall I start with? So I will start with Steve Brown, who is the Managing Director of Make It York. Steve.
Thank you, Chris. When York got its designation, one of the early aspirations was to really do some work with young people to sort of try and nurture and encourage the next generation of media artists. Not sure we've made as much progress as we could have done. So I'm interested in what other cities have done with schools and young people to link them to the designation.
I could turn to a number of members of the panel here. An obvious one is Orgyon-les-Bains for the training and education work, and also for Sapporo. Natsumi, do you want to go first?
So as a part of SciF Labs project, we had various projects for the younger generation, such as from 6 to 12 years old of children, and we are making to give them chance to know about how programming, how technology can make them more creative. The technology is not for something high-tech, economical one, but we have more opportunity to go around the artist and the cultural context. And also we have, in 3 years, we are elaborating the project to make the family, adults can feel how they can affected by this workshop. So we included the adults, experience the same, to get the same experience as children, such as coding programs, and make it make a collaborative exhibition. We can, for now, we cannot see the concrete effect for the younger generation education, but we will see with other adults to share the experience. So I don't know, I can make a very great, clear explanation, but sorry.
Thank you, Natsumi. And the projects you showed earlier look remarkably attractive ways of involving young people in topics like robotics. Really very inspiring, I thought. I'll just come to Orgyon-les-Bains next, if I may, because one of the things that the slide showed was that the training for young people and for lifelong learners is free. In the UK, one of the impediments we have is that everybody says they simply have no money. Schools have no money, the education authorities have no money. So, how can you make the prospect attractive so that it attracts the funding that you achieved?
Alors, je vais répondre que c'est une question fondamentale, que l'accès à la culture pour les générations. Nous travaillons pour les 20 prochaines années, c'est-à-dire dans un objectif de formation des plus jeunes, et que la gratuité, ça passe par la mobilisation des fonds publics et des fonds partenaires pour ces enjeux qui concernent des générations et sur l'enjeu créatif et technologique et numérique, c'est maintenant que nous devons nous saisir de ces enjeux.
So in Hangien-les-Bains, we are trying to work for the next 20 years in terms of education and training, because we are facing very big challenges. There is a paradigm shift. So we are searching for not only for public funding, but also for private sponsor. So we are trying to reflect on the relevant tools to develop and the policies to be set up in order to accompany, to encourage young people to invest much more, to engage much more in culture and in creative industries. So we decided to open a free training school, because there is another antenna, which is the school Méliès, and students have to pay. So it's another school in Hangien, and we know that public funding is not enough. So from the beginning, we were involving also private sponsors.
Thank you, Dominique, Marie. Jana, did you wish to comment as well on this question? Yes.
Yeah, we also know that it's crucial and very important to involve young people and to educate them, the children, from the beginning of them when they start to visit the schools. So yeah, our NGO initiated opening of the Arduino lab and the lab for the where children can come and they build simple robots and to learn step by step to code and to be creative at the same time. And we just initiated this, and we really got support from the right person on the right place, the director of the City Cultural Center, which now runs the lab, like a year-long program, which is not yet official, but it's a part of the free time, how children can come and they spend free time there and learn something new. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Jana. And Joanna from Braga.
Yeah, I would. One of our major achievements is our educational program. It's also free. And if you don't mind, I would ask our coordinator, because we are lucky to have him here, just to present briefly how do you manage it. I think it's worth sharing.
Okay, thank you. So we are working a lot in the educational program, and it's a full-time program. It's not only for during a festival, and we are trying to work in like 3 huge fronts: the free workshops for all the school ages, about not only the technology but the artistic expression, and to provide the experience to be part of that world. We are trying to work with experts and the universities to create tools and free tools because we think it's important to be able to have the opportunity to work with not only with the ideas but with the materials, and that's a problem. Most of young children in some locations don't have a computer to work with, for example, or don't have a piano, or etc., etc. So we are working with free tools and freeware and open source code for everyone. And the third part, it's with experts, with artists, and with amateurs to create the art object, not only the workshop, not only the school ambience, but the art process, because we don't want the future audience or the nowadays audience to agree with us, with everything, to agree with our program, but to be able to criticize, to like it or don't like it, but with property. Like, I know because of why I don't like it, and I know why I like it. So that's our plan for the future.
Jose, thank you very much. Shall we move to another topic now? And I'm going to ask Diane, please, if she would give us her question. I should say Diane is chair of the Mediale Advisory Group.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, all of you. For me, it's been quite inspirational hearing the different ways you've interpreted Media Arts City. And I think we in York have got a lot to learn from you. My question is about the amazing partnerships that you've built. Now, I can see across the different cities that there are many similarities, but some significant differences. The differences are scale, Guangzhou, York, and we share the same ambition, but we're on a journey. And of course, some of you have got amazing buildings, and we desperately need a building here in York. So we will be looking to you for lessons as to how we achieve that. But the thing you have in common is you've all built brilliant networks, educational networks, cultural networks, networks with businesses. I've heard less about networks with small p politicians, and sometimes building networks is easy. Sometimes those networks, particularly the political ones, are less easy, particularly if there's an expectation of funding. And if you can give us any advice on what really worked for you in building the difficult networks rather than the networks of the willing, it would be really helpful. Thank you.
Now there's a poser, and I wonder whether Jana is able to tell us something about political connections that have worked, maybe through some difficulties as well. So, Jana first.
Yeah, we were lucky that we have the city government, which also realized the city or organized the European Capital of Culture project. That's very specific for Košice, and they saw the benefits of this huge project. So they're still there, the same people, till November. Very short time, so we will see what will happen next. But we would like to build on this experience after European Capital of Culture, when the city itself very dramatically changed. Like really, the creative industry and culture industry developed after European Capital of Culture. So we have this ground base on which we are building next partnerships, also political, but also there is already a new the art community, which is working together since 2013 at least. So yeah, that's our case.
Could I ask Jana, just press a little further in a way, did you manage to build support across parties, or was that harder to do? Yeah.
That's harder. The political scene in not only in Košice, Slovakia is quite very different oriented, so it's not easy to convince everybody. But it's about communication, and it's what we found out. It's really good if we are traveling somewhere to do conference or to meet some partners, our partners, to invite also the politicians to be part of it, and to experience that when it works somewhere else, it can work in Košice. So I think that could be the way, maybe, yeah, I hope so.
Thank you, Jana. Who would like to go next? Sapporo? Okay.
Rapide, merci. Thank you. Nous, notre engagement est assez ancien. Il a 20 ans, si vous voulez, d'existence à travers des partenariats avec l'éducation nationale en France, donc avec des milliers d'élèves, que ce soit dans les petites classes primaires, classes de collège, de lycée, avec des laboratoires de recherche, donc avec des universités. Nous avons signé des conventions avec l'ensemble de ces partenaires. C'est un travail de fond, de tous les jours. Et ensuite, sont arrivés effectivement beaucoup plus présents les partenariats industriels. Mais ce sont d'abord les socles, surtout de l'éducation, du ministère de la Culture, bien sûr, et de toutes les actions en direction des publics depuis 20 ans.
In Anguin-les-Bains, we are lucky because we have a political continuity for more than 20 years. We have the same mayor, and so we have a city hall which is convinced from the creation of the Center of Arts of the multiple impact of digital creation on education, training, economy, and so on. And from the beginning, we decided to have a very strong partnership with the Ministry for Education in France and with the Ministry for Culture. And with, for example, with the Ministry for Education, we are developing and we developed educational programs, trying to work closely with them and to integrate their vision into our policy. And we also, from the beginning, we also decided to work with research laboratories and universities. Since for 5 years, we are now working with film incubators and economic partners. So little by little, we developed our ecosystem, but we are very closely linked with the Ministry for Education and Culture.
Thank you, Dominique Marie, and thank you for introducing that word ecosystem into this political language as well. I think that's a very important way to think about it, noting that you're finding allies across the Department for Industry as well as Education, so that there's a breadth to it, which is important. I know that Diane wanted to come back on the question, so Diane.
Thank you very much, both of you. What you've demonstrated is the power of measurement and impact. You're actually giving really positive, constructive feedback to your partners that will enable them to go along with you. As Chris is saying, within this broad ecosystem. So I think for us in York, there's the challenge of better measurement and making sure that we can make those convincing arguments and being present, as we heard from Kozicha. Thank you.
I would add for myself, and perhaps for York, that it helps to have a national awareness of what's going on in our cities. So knowing that, in our case, the UK National Commission for UNESCO understands what we're trying to achieve in York and indeed in the other creative cities is crucially important. So it's vital, we feel it's vital for us to feed information through to our national commissions so that they can use it with colleagues in government. As we have a representative from the UK National Commission here, could I ask if she might like to comment? So Karen.
Thank you. It's actually follows on from your very last point about measurement and impact. The UK government is very concerned about how we know what we've achieved, what have we done, you know, and so on. So there's a lot of emphasis. And related to that, given that it's a UNESCO theme, but not part of the Creative Cities programme, I'm interested to hear how you're documenting your work and how you're going to archive it, given that it's intangible, you haven't got things you can hold. How is this going to be preserved for our future? I think it would be fascinating to hear if you've had any space to consider the whole question of preservation. Just for those of you who may not know, UNESCO has required all of its member states to submit a response about their policies and practices around preservation. And the deadline is very close. And so far, we keep asking the UK, but actually, we haven't heard yet, but I would love to know what you're doing about documenting and archiving. Thank you.
Yes, I thought so.
As I already explained, we had 6 media specialized space. One of the spaces is actually media archive. So we are collecting the scattered media artist set, and we are preserved in that space. So let's just say, once we have the exhibitions in media space, Media 338 Gallery, then we collected the information from the artists and collected the data, and also get information from all of the city, and we make the digital gallery. And also, if you have the education programs, so we videotaping, we collecting all the information. So we have the archive. So we are operating that archive. So keep preserving the data and information right now. Yeah.
I know there are other cities who are adopting similar approaches. Is there anyone who would like to comment on how it's being done in Sapporo? Yes?
OK、日本語でとりあえず、サイアフラボの活動としては基本的にその札幌っていう町が持っているその気象的なとか、ある種その自然のデータっていうものをすごく特徴だと認識していて、でそれを取っていく。でそれ自体がアーカイブ化されることでなんかこう、その都市が持っている意味みたいなものとか、その創造都市としてアーカイブしていくもののとしてとても大事だと思っていて、その活動をしているっていう。
So what he said is, as a program of SciAf Lab, he is now creating a database for the environmental urban environmental data, which will make some kind of record of our activities and our project. And I would like to add for national policies in Japan, or we are more, the UK is our teacher of cultural policies, or we cannot further comment, but we had also a problem with the data collection and archive. So yeah, we share the same problem.
その理由としては、その理由としては、その環境のデータってこれだけその地球規模で環境の状況が変わっているっていう状況がある中で、その札幌っていう町そのものが持っている環境の変化だとか、そういうものを取っておくっていうことは人類の財産だと思うんですよ、今後でそれ自体をどんどんそのネットワークとして別な都市、別にそれは創造都市じゃなくてもいいんですけども、そういう都市でどんどん取っていくことで我々人類のそのものの財産みたいなものっていうのが我々が持っているその DIY のテクノロジーで今の取っていければ、それ自体が僕はとても重要なものになるし、創造都市のネットワークとしてっていうものが、より重要なものになっていくと思って、サイアフラボっていうのは活動をしているというところです。
So Katsuya said that regarding his project on SciAf Lab, the data collection of environmental data, which leads to connect using the UNESCO Creative City Network to make more concrete effect on the UNESCO United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which, yeah.
I think data is the property of the world. So yes, our member thinks yes, environmental data is so important things in the all over the world. So yes, that is an important thing and our purpose. Yes.
Thank you, Katsuya. The festivals around the world have very good web presences sometimes, and Ars Electronica is a model for us in Linz. You can go back and you can see the programs going back for a very long time. We're verging on the question of how we evaluate our impact as we go along. This is one of the areas where we can draw on local expertise of our universities. And in fact, this afternoon, one of the things we want to talk about is how that collaboration might help us to understand better the impact of our work as creative cities. Now, there were some comments around the room on this topic. I think Steve had a comment on this topic first. There was another Matt on this topic.
On this topic, yes.
So Matt is a designer based in York.
Hello there. I'm interested in the ideas of archives and records, given the fact that the designation that we all hold as cities and the things that we produce as cities being, as you said, the property of the world. I think that's another way of putting it. And I think archives can be in danger of being sealed, recorded, ticked off, marked, and never to be kind of unearthed again. I think there's an amazing opportunity, particularly looking at what Braga have done with education, to share and disseminate information, particularly around education, which is an area I'm very interested in. How we can turn these archives into accessible archives which cross cultural boundaries, language barriers. A lot of our young people share very similar issues around creative education. A lot of them are confronted by the same challenges. So looking at a commonality around the world of how young people learn, what barriers they come up against when it comes to education and creative education and creation of their own voice as creative people. Are there common areas that we share around the world that we could use to unlock some of this archive material and disseminate it to primary school teachers, high school teachers, using the network in that way?
Thank you very much, Matt. I think that's an extremely useful comment. Now, a different topic, I think, yes? Is that right? So, can we take Karen's comment first, and then we'll move on?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to come back with I have one idea, which I'm not sure if it follows yours, but I think it embraces your point. I actually think that as a cluster, you could put the question back to UNESCO. I have no idea structurally how that would happen, but it ought to go to, I don't think it's the culture programme, I think it's properly placed at the communication and information programme, because actually it isn't simply a question of creating archives or even sharing them. The issue is about preservation. And UNESCO had a project which is called Persist. I've no idea what's happened to it, but we have to disabuse the world of this idea that our work is safe in the cloud. It's not. There is no cloud. They're all great big boxes. They're plugged in, guzzling fuel, and nothing actually is safe at the moment. All of our software is going to be obsolete in 5 years, 10 years' time, less. So there's a huge challenge, and I think far from UNESCO only pushing it back, given the current predilection to focus on artificial intelligence, why doesn't this cluster say, we're special, we embrace so many UNESCO themes and activities, deal with us as your case study? It's just a thought.
A thought and also a challenge for us, and can I ask what the chair of the cluster would say about that?
Thank you. Non, nous partageons complètement cette analyse. L'important dans ce qui est convenu d'appeler les bonnes pratiques, c'est aussi nos évaluations, les indicateurs également qui existent dans le cluster des villes art numérique, des indicateurs sur les résultats qui sont produits dans le cadre des actions, qui sont communes, mais surtout ce qui est important, c'est pas tellement ce que les villes font individuellement, c'est ce que nous faisons ensemble. Et ça, c'est quelque chose que je veux rappeler dans mon rôle de coordinateur. C'est ce que nous faisons, les villes ensemble, ce que nous produisons. Donc la communication, elle vient comme un élément, je dirais, de veille sur l'activité du cluster.
So thank you. We share your analysis concerning the good practices that we have in each city. It's sure that we have to determine indicators all together, and it's a hard task. But I would like just to remind that it's the most interesting thing in the cluster is not what Media Art City are doing each one, but it's what we are doing all together. That's our added value. And so we have to find communication tools, very efficient communication tools to disseminate our good practices, not only within the network with overall creative cities, but much more beyond that.
Thank you very much. Now, let us change topic again And can I introduce Delma Tomlin, who's Chief Executive of the National Centre for Early Music, one of York's foremost cultural organisations.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you all of you. Again, I've really enjoyed this morning. The City of York has a number of very successful tourism attractions to do with archaeology, with heritage, with music. We don't have, as yet, as Diane mentioned, a physical building which promotes media arts. What we do have, as Heather said, is the largest brownfield site in Europe, and we have to work out how we work with the development agencies in that regard. If an idea was to make a media playground, as Jin perhaps had suggested, or something like that, does any of the panel have any idea about the capital cost to one thing, but the revenue cost beyond that, which is really to Jin? Because to keep it up to date is clearly a bit of an issue when it comes to media and digital.
I would like to turn to Jin first, as we have this splendid example in Gwangju, and to ask her a little bit more about how that works. Does it make revenue for itself? Does it provide sufficient of an attraction for Gwangju to pay for itself? So, to you, Jin, first.
What I see here in York, and there are a lot of heritages, cultural heritage, which is incredibly important for the city. So, I mean, the media art is kind of the new technology. So it's important the combination of the old things with the new technology. So if I say, if you build a new building, then maybe in the new building it had to be very modernized, and then maybe you can use the media facade. The skills, the technology developed huge right now. So you can use the media facade skills, not only just using the BIM project, but also, you know, the architecture skill is developed a lot. So we keep all the heritage, but also use the skills to keep all the heritage and all the stuff for the UK. I mean, I think so one of the things I would like to recommend is using the media facade. But yeah, that's all I can right now. Hope it works.
Thank you, Jin, for those words of encouragement. Are there other comments about media arts buildings? And yes, okay, Joanna.
We are now in the process of remodeling an old cinema in the historical area. Braga, as York, the tourism is very built on heritage and the cathedrals and churches and everything. And then but it is a very well thought project. We engaged an architect that they used to remodulate old buildings and for this kind of purpose. And but it's a very, very huge challenge, because if you want, we are building a new media arts center. So if you do that, you really have to invest on equipment and technology that is always arguing for new improvements. So we are now, we don't really know how to deal with it. We don't have a recipe for that, but we're now making our studies on that and try to build on the program, artistical training, creative hub program within that Media Arts Center, to try to, how do you say, to project it to in a 10, 50 years budgeting strategy. But, well, step by step, as Jin says.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Does Enghien-les-Bains want to comment on the Centre des Arts? Yes.
Merci. Évidemment, il y il y a le lieu de la culture qui est un lieu physique qui est le centre des arts, mais nous avons... c'est un peu comme dans chaque ville, il y a toujours ou une église ou l'hôtel de ville, il y a toujours un lieu qui est sanctuarisé. Mais attention, l'action, elle doit se passer c'est une question urbaine d'abord, c'est-à-dire d'être dans tous les lieux, c'est de désanctuariser finalement la culture pour investir l'espace urbain dans ce sens du futur humain, c'est-à-dire de penser l'humain par rapport à l'inclusion sociale, la résilience, l'ensemble de ces valeurs. Donc c'est pas agir seulement dans un lieu physique, mais c'est agir de façon régulière dans tous les lieux qui peuvent être investis dans la ville avec les acteurs de la ville.
So in Angan-les-Bains we have an art center, which is the flagship building related to media arts. So he said that it's very important to have a building related to that, but it's not the key point, because we think that it's very important not to sanctuarize, not to secularize. I don't know how to say in English. In a physical space, we have to invest public space. We have to try to do our best to go beyond cultural buildings. For example, we have a festival in parks, in the church, in also and it's something that we have to do all along the year, not only during festivals. So because media arts is talking about human in the future, human in the urban planning, in the urban space. So it's very important to have a physical space, but it's not the key issue is to expand the activities all over the city.
Thank you. Heather.
Thank you, Chris. Just one thing to add, actually. We've been talking to some really exciting companies around the development of York Central, and one of the things I would suggest is to look at how you create the infrastructure to have an adaptive space. So an intelligent building which is practically carbon neutral, which has taken solar power, which is meshed with a data mesh within it, that's linked to the other buildings in the space, that is a white box area or an outdoor and indoor space that then the businesses can bring the latest tech to and play in that space. But as the technology evolves and as the businesses adopt new technologies, that space is adaptive enough that the infrastructure is there for the future, but that the active use can change as the city develops is probably the best way I would suggest.
Thank you, Heather. Are there any more? No? Okay, good. Thank you very much. And are there more questions? There's another question from Steve. So, Steve.
I've always thought one of the interesting things about UNESCO designation is that in a fairly sort of nebulous way, it's awarded to the city. There's no plaque, there's no certificate, there's no money. You just get essentially a letter saying you have this designation. So I'm interested in what happens then in terms of who owns the designation and who is the custodian of that designation, who makes sure that it develops and is nurtured. And in York, our mechanism was setting up the Guild of Media Arts, and within the articles of the Guild is the custodian of the designation. So I'm really interested in how other cities look at that custodian question. Is it government? Is it a different body? So what's the mechanism for making sure that the designation is developed and taken seriously?
Thank you, Steve. And it may be that Karen will want to comment on that as well, but I'd quite like to hear from some members of the panel, just in simple terms, which organisation within your city feels the most responsible for the designation? Steve, is that right? So it could come down to who actually feels they have the deadline to get their 4 yearly reports written and submitted. I'll speak personally here. That I think is the way to bring that home. So I shall start. Jin, would you like to start?
You start first, you have to get the permission, Oh, what was the question? Can you...
The question, to simplify, I'll start at the other end to be kinder. I'll start with Nguyen. So the question is, who carries the primary responsibility for the designation in your city? Is it the city authority? Is it an organization outside the city authority but working with it? Is it a consortium of a number of organizations? Just very briefly, how is that organized is the question. So Jin, do you have the answer?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we have the big responsibility, especially the Gwangju Cultural Foundation. We are working with the city of Gwangju, and we are very enthusiastic working for the UNESCO Korea City, but we're trying to make a close and firm relationship with the other organizations, like local authorities and stakeholders. They are started working together right now, so will be, the scale will be enlarged in the future. That not only just for the Cultural Foundation, but also other organizations that are willing to participate in this project. So the city will change or develop in the end, I think.
Jane, thank you. Very clear. Pass along to Joanne.
In Braga, the municipality is leading this endeavor, but for this 4 years action plan, the municipality made a contract with a municipal enterprise. I don't know how to say it, but well, on culture that Braga has, and within that contract, we have to deliver what is in that contract. So the focal point is the executive director of the enterprise, and she is leading. She's the real soul of the main responsible for leading this project till the end. And then she hired a team that is totally and exclusively devoted to the action plan. So this is we have this agreement in Braga.
Merci, thank you. Je pense que la désignation n'est pas une reconnaissance. C'est pour, à mon sens, c'est une démarche, la désignation. C'est-à-dire, c'est la démarche d'un processus qui donc va engager l'ensemble des valeurs qui sont les engagements des villes, et surtout les valeurs qui vont être l'engagement des villes dans un processus, dans un écosystème entre les villes, et la production, c'est la production de l'ensemble de ces villes, pas seulement individuelle. Merci.
The designation, according to me, is not, as I said previously, is not just a recognition, but it's much more an approach and a process, and a long-term process. So it involves the values of each city, but in a global network. So you have the most difficult thing and the most challenging thing is to reflect on how we will work together from the beginning. And concerning Anguin-les-Bains, it's the art center who was in charge of the application form, but we closely worked with the city hall because we are part of the city hall. It's something a bit strange in France, but we have a service of the city. So we were lucky because we are an art center with our own organization, but we have also a lot of meetings each week with the city hall and with the mayor, so very close link.
In Košice, our organization, Creative Industry Košice, is responsible for the delivery of the plans and strategy of the UNESCO Creative City. And we are NGO, but partly we are funded by the city. Slightly more than half of our budget is going yearly from the city budget. And the rest of the money we are raising from European and national projects, and also from the private sector as well. But what I would like to add is that our organization also stands behind the city culture strategy, which was agreed and adopted by the city parliament and the city itself. So the UNESCO will be the part of the city culture strategy in the next period for 4 years at least.
In Sapporo, the city hall is responsible so far for the UNESCO designation, because our creative city initiatives have started from other municipalities' policy to attract more people to the city. And now we have partnership with various sectors, including art and economy and academic. But mostly the Sayak Lab is very helpful to our intercity network.
Thank you, Natsumi. Karen, did you want to comment?
Yes. One of the things about the Creative Cities programme is it's not a formal capital P programme within UNESCO. So it suffers for that. Structurally, I'm fairly sure that the organisational structure that applied for the designation will be the responsible structure for it. Now, of course, if you take somewhere like Manchester, which is a creative city of literature, it started off housed within 2 universities and is going to become independent. So I think, and so I think there is a room for movement around the accountabilities, and that's largely because it's, in UNESCO terms, a new program. So in a way that creates space for networks, clusters like this, to say, let it be done in this way or that way. I think there's lots of space, and certainly as a National Commission, sharing the responsibility for this programme, I'm interested to see it kind of smoothed out and safer. I think the noisier the clusters can be in forming the National Commissions, the stronger it's likely to be. Because I don't think it is very strong at the moment. I don't think it's sold well enough within the UNESCO family. Don't think it's understood sufficiently. And it has a huge, well, as I sort of was ranting last night, I think it's got a great power to give a lot. But I'd like to go back to Diane's point. I do think what you're saying about the value is really important. UNESCO's value actually is priceless. And that's the challenge for everybody, is how you understand what that means, how you actually live up to its aims. And it is also the case that you no longer have this status in perpetuity, and it's important to recognize that. It wasn't always like that. It will be removed if people don't live up to those values. And so it's kind of, it's very, very, I think it's a really, really good question, because it's very fluid.
Thank you very much, Karen, for that comment. And the microphone passes to Anne Gonnell, who's the Master of the Guild of Media Arts. Anne.
Yes, this is a question which I think leads on from that, but also leads on to this afternoon to a certain extent, which is, given the power that we could potentially have and articulate for our countries as well as our cities and our people and our next generation, what should our combined media arts cities cluster vision be for 2030, for our future? What is that audacious goal we should all be working together to deliver?
Well, I know who I'm going to pick on now. The chair of the cluster, I'm afraid. Again, is it possible to begin to define a goal for the cluster? How do we go about it?
Je crois que la question est difficile, mais je crois que elle peut être partagée par le cluster dans son entier. C'est la question élément important de l'urbanité et surtout de l'humain, de la place de l'humain dans l'urbanité. Si je crois que la créativité peut avoir un rôle face à un ensemble de transformations technologiques, industrielles et sociales, c'est justement d'être de placer la culture justement comme peut-être l'élément de réparation finalement de nos systèmes sociaux. Voilà.
It deals with a very challenging issue, but I think that it's something that we have to share with our media art city. But one of the most important things for the coming years will be the place of human beings in cities, in growing cities. And we are going to a more and more urban world. So we have to think about the role of creativity in social changes. For social issues. So we have to, to contemplate how media arts can be seen as a reparation tool for social issues.
Thank you very much, and I think that's a very good overall answer. I won't go down the panel on this one, if I may. Could I just see whether there's other questions in the room? One more. Did you say? No? Any further questions? Oh, you have. There's something on Twitter. Well, while you're catching up, I would just say, following Dominique's summary of how we might reach a shared goal, the part of the cluster is here today. It may be that other members of the cluster are following us on the live stream. I hope so. And we will be connected by Skype this afternoon to 3 more, to Austin, to Guadalajara, and to Tel Aviv. And as Anne implied, our discussions this afternoon are entirely about that very collegial process of trying to work out what our shared agenda is. Very much subscribe to what Karen was saying about strengthening our voice within the UNESCO agenda, if you like. So, yeah, that is part of our job for this afternoon. Mike, do you have any burning questions coming through on Twitter? If so, I shall pass you the mic.
Possibly. Forgive me if these have already been answered. Half here.
Mike, hold on.
Something someone said.
Pick one out.
Okay, so just say if these have been answered. So UNESCO UK sent us a question. They said, what is the #1 thing that being a UNESCO... Okay, that's gone. Okay. Anne, have we answered your questions?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Amongst the melee of things that have been going
Yeah, so...
This is proving it's real, folks.
Yeah, this is... So it's good to have these comments. Anne asked, what's the biggest challenge? Engaging public, industry, education and government. And then what's our vision that we just answered? And that's it. But hopefully there's some more that are coming through. I don't know.
Thank you. If there are further questions coming in via Twitter, I'm sure we'll find a way of considering them. At this point, we should draw this session to a close. Thank you very much for your questions from the audience. They've been extremely valuable in teasing out some of the issues for the cities. I'd like to thank members of the panel for their contributions to the discussion, for what you've said about your cities. That has been absolutely great. Can I also, at this point, say one or two more thanks to Mike for monitoring our Twitter stream over there. Thank you very much. To Ed, to Ed and to David from Pilot for managing our live stream and numerous technical issues. Thank you very much for doing that so well. To York Museums Trust and indeed the Hospitium, this wonderful medieval building which has been showing hospitality now for centuries. We're part of that tradition. Thank you to them for housing us and for looking after us so well with tea, coffee and buns. So thank you for that. To Tom, in his absence, for Mediali, for helping to facilitate this session. They definitely deserve a round of applause. And then lastly, I'm going to say thank you so much to our honoured guests for making it from around the world to be present for this discussion. Thank you most of all. Can I also thank Make It York for providing support, and in the person of Faye, especially for providing logistical support. Thank you very much.